Hello and welcome to the second episode of Before You Travel Abroad. In this episode, we tackle the question, what's your game plan? In the previous episode, I concluded with these profound instructions. Do your research, be informed, and never relocate blindly. I cannot emphasize this enough. Misinformation can lead to tragedy, disappointment, exploitation, or long-term hardship. Life in a foreign land is rarely straightforward or forgiving, especially at first. What may look glamorous from a distance often comes with unseen struggles, sacrifices, and responsibilities. Therefore, relocating to another country is not just about boarding a plane and arriving at your destination. It is about preparing yourself mentally, financially, emotionally, legally, and spiritually for an entirely new way of life. Before making such a life-changing decision, learn everything you possibly can about the country and the specific city or area you intend to move to. Understand the legal systems of the land, the culture of the land, available employment opportunities, lifestyle, transportation systems, and survival basics. Preparation does not eliminate hardship, but it reduces unnecessary suffering and helps you respond wisely when challenges arise. Let me tell you a little story. When I was about to move to the United States for school, I was told I would be able to own a car in less than a year. I was told I would be earning several dollars I had never imagined in my entire life. Boy, that was enough motivation for me to push heaven and earth to make this trip a success. In my head, I didn't need to plan anything else. After all, they would pay me for some teaching gigs. That's all I needed to know, and boy was I wrong. Story for another day. Many aspiring immigrants fail because they move with excitement but without structure. That was me. I remember my neighbor and I converting the supposed salary I would earn a month into my local currency. We could not believe our eyes. I would be earning more than several prestigious managers I knew. I was thrilled, hopeful, fingers crossed this was all true. Hope is important, but hope without preparation can become dangerous. A simple plan can make all the difference in the world. Research helps you manage expectations, avoid avoidable mistakes, and understand what you are walking into before reality introduces itself. The salary I would be earning was true, but I forgot to factor out all the monthly expenses that adulthood would require of me. Nobody told me I would need to pay for health insurance and rent that high. Maybe someone did in some emails following my acceptance to the university, but with my level of excitement then, I am inclined to say nobody explicitly told me. So again, I ask you, what's your game plan? Firstly, where exactly are you going? Yes, you may know the country, but have you researched the city? Countries are not uniform. Opportunities, safety, housing costs, climate, and quality of life can vary drastically from one city to another. A city that works well for one person may become a nightmare for another. So ask yourself, 1, what's my plan or game plan? Obviously, you need to make a living, so what employment opportunities exist in that city for your profession or skill set? As a novice immigrant, which you will be for some time, is the city beginner-friendly for immigrants? Does the city have affordable housing? What kind of community lives there? There are some questions that, if unplanned, can make you or break you. Some people relocate simply because they heard others had succeeded there, but what worked for someone else may not work for you. Your background, skills, financial situation, and family needs are different. Research gives you realistic expectations instead of fantasies built from social media highlights. Let's look into how will you make a living? One of the most important questions you must answer is, how will you survive honestly? What is your plan to put food on the table? What skills will support you? What will you do if your initial plan fails? If you're traveling with your whole family, how do you plan to support them? In fact, most embassies will not grant you a visa unless you prove you have the financial capability to support yourself or your family for your stay. But let's assume that somehow you manage to show you have sufficient funds to do so. For the purpose of the visa, you still need to answer the question of how you plan to survive. As harsh as it may sound, some people relocate without any real plan for survival. They assume opportunities will magically appear after arrival. Unfortunately, reality does not always cooperate with assumptions. I would like to tell you this for free. Try as much as possible to remain on the right side of the law. Being on the right side of the law may seem slow or difficult at first, but lawful living pays off tremendously in the long run. Illegal shortcuts often lead to fear, instability, exploitation, stress, deportation risks, and missed opportunities. Find out what the limitations of your legal immigration status. For example, in the United States, students on the F1 visa are not permitted to work off the university campus. Any work they do must be on their campus in a student capacity and for not more than 20 hours a week. Now, 20 hours a week, earning a few dollars per hour, maybe $15 per hour. If you're lucky, it's not near enough to pay your rent. Now, wait a minute, drop down your calculator, it's not a lot of money. Your rent will range anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per month, depending on which city you're in. Unless you have a scholarship that intends to support your cost of living, my friend, life will be hard for you. Now imagine no scholarship at all, as in you need to figure out how to pay your school fees as well as the cost of living. All you have is an offer letter and you plan to magically figure it out somehow. We haven't yet considered the fact that you will have health insurance monthly payments, which are a must for all students to have. That will be a tough life. That's how international students or immigrants find themselves buried in credit card debt, a trap and a story for another day. So, my dear, hold your ear, plan yourself, do your research, and prepare yourself. I can't stress that enough. So, if you plan to move with your family, ask yourself difficult but necessary questions. Will your income adequately support your family? Can one income sustain the household if your spouse cannot work immediately? If you're relocating for work, they won't immediately pay you, not for 2 weeks at least. How will you survive till your first paycheck? What if you can't find a job for a while? What happens if you lose your first job? What's your immediate plan and backup strategy? Your game plan should include both a primary strategy and a backup strategy. Life abroad can change unexpectedly. As an immigrant, your expectations are sometimes cut short real quick. Economies shift. Health problems happen. Immigration rules change. Wise preparation means planning beyond your best case scenario. Secondly, understand the cost of living. Many immigrants underestimate the true cost of living. A high salary may sound attractive until you calculate rent, transportation, insurance, childcare, taxes, groceries, utilities, and debt obligations. Research average rent prices for your city, average cost of renting a house versus sharing an apartment. If you're coming with family, an apartment will not do. You will need a full house to yourselves. That's more money versus sharing an apartment if you relocated alone. Is the location safe? Look into details like grocery expenses, transportation costs, internet and phone bills, taxes, and emergency expenses. Can you realistically afford to live there? Can you raise children comfortably there? Sometimes moving to a smaller or less glamorous city may provide greater long-term stability than struggling in an expensive major city. Safety matters more than appearance. Some neighborhoods are not safe for newcomers. Others may not be suitable for raising children. Crime rates, drug activity, gang violence, discrimination, or unstable housing environments can deeply affect your quality of life. There are so many things to keep in mind for this one, but the most important is to look up the crime statistics for where you plan to relocate. You need to be safe, alive, and thriving. In some areas, some races thrive much better than others. I know sometimes circumstances do not allow us the opportunity to choose, but do not allow desperation to place you in dangerous environments unnecessarily. Another thing to consider is transportation and daily movement. Some cities don't have convenient public transport. People rely heavily on their own private cars, and chances are you might not be able to buy a car as soon as you get there. But if you save up well enough, you could put together something to help you get a car to support your day-to-day movements. If you're lucky, you might find convenient public transport. It just depends on where you plan to live. Having no car reduces your flexibility. It makes it hard if there are children involved. Hell, most cities don't even have trains, like 99%. That's stuff you see in the movies. I mean, speaking for the US anyway, can't speak for Europe and other locations. So how will you commute from one place to another? Transportation can determine your quality of life more than people realize, but eventually you do figure it out somehow. So ask yourself, is public transportation reliable? Will you need a car immediately? How expensive is fuel, car insurance, and car maintenance? How long will your daily commute be, or is the area walkable? A good job located too far away may eventually exhaust you physically, mentally, and financially. You also have to consider health insurance and health care. Every country handles healthcare differently. Some places offer free universal coverage, while others require you to pay for private insurance out of pocket. And even where healthcare is free, there are usually hidden costs, long wait times, medication fees, and limited services. Here's the truth. Medical emergencies happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. At some point, you or your family will need medical attention, and if you're a student, having health insurance is mandatory, and the cost of health insurance will take a huge chunk out of your paycheck. What looks like a lot of money might be nothing once you remove health insurance, so do your research. Research simple things like health insurance requirements, monthly insurance costs, maternity coverage if you plan to become pregnant, and pediatric care if you have children. Find out social welfare services that offer support for people in your condition, for children or pregnancy, and most importantly, hospitals do offer financial assistance for medical bills, so you'd have to keep that in mind. A single medical emergency without preparation can financially destroy an unprepared family. Ask people you know or who have been where you are headed to get a perspective. Childcare and education. If you have young children, research daycare and school systems before relocating. In some cities, families remain on childcare waiting lists for months or even years. Childcare costs can be shockingly expensive and may consume a large portion of your income. The earlier you plan, the better your transition will be. Research daycare availability, childcare costs, public school quality and availability, enrollment timelines, and language support programs for immigrant children. Your children's adjustment and stability should be part of your overall relocation strategy. The good thing is that the education system abroad is good once you get accustomed to the system. I only mention this because I know most people are last-minute people, so don't be shocked if they tell you they don't have space for your child and are stuck with a child at home but need to go to work or school. Plan. Do you know anyone there? When you're new to a place, knowing someone there can make a huge difference. Having a familiar face, there's someone who can show you around, help with paperwork, point you to housing, or just explain how things work can take a lot of the pressure off. Sometimes even temporary accommodation during your first few days, weeks, or even months can help you regain stability while settling in. However, the fact that you know someone does not mean they are capable of hosting you. Some families are barely hanging on. Your family might be too big for their space, or they might be located further than where you need to be. Planning will help you avoid creating awkward moments. On the good side, some people are pretty good at hosting you for the first few days while you get on your feet. Don't take their gestures for granted or misuse them or overstay or be a bad guest. You might close the door to others in the future. So again, this privilege should never be abused. Do not become comfortable depending entirely on relatives or friends. If possible, work toward becoming independent as soon as you can. Prolonged dependence can strain relationships and create unnecessary tension. At the same time, this is very important. Do not believe it is impossible to relocate without knowing anyone. Many people successfully build lives in completely unfamiliar places. But if you choose that path, your preparation, money research, discipline, and game plan become even more important. I know a friend who came to school knowing no one, with no idea how to get to the school after the airport, but lucky for them, they had money and they were able to pay $200 for a taxi for a 2-hour journey to their exact apartment of stay. It was a simple strategy than getting lost or looking homeless or clueless, but a very expensive one. On a normal day, I'd say don't do that. But when you're new, sometimes convenience and ignorance can be your best friend. This can prevent people from taking advantage of you. Here are other important things to include in your game plan. Number 1, build an emergency fund. Unexpected situations will happen, so carry enough savings to survive several months if things do not go according to plan. Financial pressure is one of the biggest causes of stress among immigrants. Number 2, learn the language. Even basic communication skills can transform your experience. Language barriers affect employment, opportunities, confidence, relationships, and daily survival. Even if English is not your first language, speak it with confidence. If you're going to a non-English speaking country, be aware that language will be your biggest hurdle. Funny story, a friend of mine in Japan bought dishwashing liquid thinking they had bought cooking oil. If not for their roommate asking why the dishwashing liquid was near the stove, things would have gone south. The housemate had to tell them the exact words they needed to tell the shopkeeper for cooking oil and return the dishwashing liquid. If you are taking children with you, is that the language you want them to learn as they grow up? Some countries will require you to learn their language for school and employment after school. Are you ready for all that? Number 3, understanding immigration laws. Know your visa conditions, work limitations, renewal timelines, and legal responsibilities. Ignorance of immigration laws can create serious long-term consequences. I have a whole section for this. Number 4, prepare emotionally. Loneliness, homesickness, culture shock, and isolation are real. Relocation can test your emotional resilience in ways you never imagined. Prepare your mind for difficult seasons. I was 24 when I moved to the US. Nothing had prepared me for the loneliness I would feel that first year of being here. I even started writing a diary because of that, whose password I eventually forgot. Laugh out loud. Without building the right relationships, it can easily turn into something else. Number 5, build transferable skills. The more skills you have, the more adaptable you become. Learn skills that can help you survive even if your original career path becomes difficult. There are a lot of skills that can easily make you quick cash abroad. Can you plait or barb hair? Can you sew or mend clothes? Can you bake and decorate cakes? There are a lot of people looking for affordable services like these, as similar services elsewhere cost an arm and a leg. There is something you would wish you could do by yourself, so having some transferable skills helps a great deal. Number 6, avoid comparing your journey. Everyone's journey abroad is different. Some people succeed quickly, others struggle silently for years. Avoid unhealthy comparisons and focus on building your own stable foundation. There are a lot of things people do to stay afloat. Some are swimming in credit card debt. Some are sitting on sleepless nights working several jobs. All are doing well for themselves, just in different capacities. Finally, have a long-term vision. Do not only think about arrival, think about sustainability. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? What kind of life are you trying to build for yourself and your family? A successful relocation is not measured by reaching another country. It is measured by your ability to build a stable, lawful, healthy, and meaningful life once you arrive. Stay tuned for the next episode where we discuss finances. I hope this episode blessed you. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.